Dr. Kemi Lawrence, this is Persecuted IJ Part 4. In Part 3, I ended by telling you that I had now arrived at SARS, the Port Harcourt SARS, where they execute people there who are presumed to be armed robbers. It was very sad for me because the very night I arrived, I wasn't put in a cell. They actually let me sit in one of their boss's room with a desk, a TV, and I sat on the sofa there. I was still very hungry, but because of the mood of what I went through, the 12 hours, my medications, nothing was taken with me. I was still wearing my nightgown. I changed into I wore something on top of my nightgown, basically, because I really thought I was going down the street to CID in Ibadan, and I ended up 12 hours away. So later on, they put me in a cell, and the cell next to me had a lot of men inside. So when I held the bars and I looked out, the guys would look at me and they were greeting me. They could see visibly that I had gray hair and they thought I was an old woman who had been stealing. Apparently, since it was SARS, they thought I was an armed robber too. So I'm now asking them, I said, waiting carry you come here. And you see, when you get down to the South, they don't speak English there. They speak Pidgin. Every one of them said they caught them stealing something or they accused them of stealing something. They would say their prayers in the night. They would say their prayers at 6 in the morning. They were just bunched in there like sardines. It was so inhumane. At one point when I had to go to the toilet and they brought me out of the cell, there were two boys that they brought in. And those two young men, they were wearing Nike sneakers. They were dressed well, and one had a Tupac shirt on. Those boys came in and they added them to the group of sardines-like cell over there. I saw them. In the morning when I woke up, I had to go and do some paperwork. So they brought me out of my cell, and there was a woman at the counter. The woman was crying and she was begging the police officer that she's looking for her son. She described one of those two boys that they brought. Those two guys were said to have stolen a car at gunpoint from a woman. So if they stole the car at gunpoint from that woman, it's technically a carjacking. They brought them in. Are they not supposed to go to court and get sentenced to a long time and prosecuted by court? I did not know. Apparently, they just execute them in the back. As the woman was describing her sons, I was at the counter and I said, yeah, I know your son. He came in last night. He should be in one of those cells. Little did I know that they had executed that boy. They just whisked me out of that particular counter to another office. As soon as I identified a young man that was executed, the head of SARS at the time, I believe his name was Fakorede, a Yoruba man. Whether it was the CP or the head of SARS, Fakorede was there at the time I was there. That was the one that fought with Wike, and they had to remove him and he went to another place when Wike was governor. Orders came from him or someone that they should whisk me out and take me to the prison. But they couldn't take me to the prison until I've been in a courtroom. I told the woman, I said, your child was executed back there. And that was when it was real crazy. Because behind my cell, and I did not have any notice, they opened fire. They take them back there, they blindfold them, and they shoot them. You hear the bullets all day ringing in my ears. Nigerian police was killing people inside stations, inside SARS. We know what happened to SARS. We know how we ended SARS. And one of the things we ended was extrajudicial killings. But look how many young men lost their lives. Innocently or guilty, no nothing. Extrajudicial. No court, nothing. It's a sad time in Nigeria. Families were compensated. Part of why Shegun Awusonya started in SARS and all the things we agreed to in the 5 for 5. Some people lost their children needlessly for nothing. We lost a lot of young men. I rarely saw women in that whole system. So they put me in a car, a Hilux, and we sped again to a courthouse. We were speeding through Port Harcourt. Why, I don't know. They were taking me to a courthouse. Apparently it was close to 5 o'clock and the courts were closed. They didn't want me to spend the night in that place because if I saw more, I would report it as a journalist. We now entered the courtroom and the court was closed. So they whisked me right back to SARS. But instead, they didn't have me sleeping in a cell. They had me sleeping on a sofa in one of their boss's offices. They had to do that. It was a lot comfortable for me. And in the morning, I went to have my bath with a bucket in the dingy bathroom and toilet. And we went to court. The police prosecutor was there and asked them to remand me. And the judge remanded me in custody because I was dangerous, they said. The pen is mightier than the sword. They said I had a weapon and I was dangerous, and this is the weapon, the pen. Mightier than the sword because anything I write with that pen could destroy Ibi or me or any other person. That is what they asked the judge to do. So the judge remanded me in the prison. My hearing will be the following week. When we went for the hearing, the magistrate judge did not come, so they took me right back to the prison. The sitting in the cell, waiting to be called, I went through too much. The Nigerian justice system is horrible, it is corrupt, and it was just bad. When they remanded me in Port Harcourt prison, my first night in Port Harcourt prison was very interesting. I got there very late. I was very tired. And when I got there, I spoke with an American accent. And the inmates were very scared. They did not want to bother me. They could not parade me. They wanted me to come and parade, introduce myself, tell them what crime. I said no. I refused to be paraded. With their generals, their heads, I would end up being a general later. I would end up being a head later. But at that time, I was tired. Don't disturb me. Okay, everybody leave me alone. Don't fucking disturb me. They left me alone. They had never heard that kind of English, and they felt the English intimidated them, and they were scared. So they assumed I was an oil thief. A black American woman who came into the prison as an oil thief. That's probably what she came for. As my eyes were closed and I was sleeping on that bunk bed, I was listening to them. Because they don't see a lot of foreigners in there, but there are some. And usually they're all bunkering and they're all thieves. So that's what they assumed I was. They didn't know what brought me. So in the morning when everybody woke up, I now met with the prison bosses, as in the inmate bosses and the wardresses and what the assignments are in the morning. You have to sweep the cell, wash the toilet. They had all these things we had to do, and if you can't do it, you have to pay another inmate to do it. I wasn't doing anything, so I paid inmates that were really hungry the money so they can do all my chores for me. I began my living in the prison, and I will live in Port Harcourt prison for 3 months. From March of 2017 to June 5th, 2017, when I got bail. On June 5th, 2017, an attempt was made to assassinate me at the courthouse. Shortly after, the judge gave me 1 million Naira in bail. That is the famous picture you saw. In that picture, Nathan, my favorite armed squad security guard in the prison, Nathan had just got information through his ear walkie-talkie that they were about to kill me, that the Nigerian police associated with Kemi were actually going to open fire on me in the media scrum where we were supposed to talk to the media before they take me back to the prison and I can process my bail. They try to kill